All right, so normally we would use a finite state machine maybe for a more complicated feature like the player character who could have a lot of more nuanced states that are interrelated in complicated ways based on input, etc. But for our first example here, we're just going to use something simpler since we're just trying to wrap our heads around bolt and the state pattern itself. So we're going to start with a door. A door is pretty straightforward. It has an open state and a closed state, and then maybe eventually we'll add some more complexity like a locked state. But the no matter what, we have to start with creating the kind of test level door art. So I'm going to use Control Shift K to get my ProBuilder shape tool going, and I'll just build a cube. I'll get it in the world here. We'll build this cube. My Pro Grids is on 1, and it looks like I actually need to get the ProBuilder window turned on here. There it is. So Tools, ProBuilder window, and I can dock that thing. If you don't have ProBuilder, it's in the package manager, and we will use it to quickly kind of prototype a door frame and then a door to fill in the door frame. So I guess I know my player character is like 2 meters tall. So if I leave this thing on 1 meter grid snapping and I go up to 3 meters, I know my 2 meter character will fit. It's a good idea to give your character a little extra clearance here. So for once I have my 3 meter height, I'm going to hold shift, and then while I'm holding shift, click and drag the Y axis move tool handle here, and that'll extrude this geometry so that now I have a new face here that's separate from the first 3 that I dragged out. And this way I can hold shift again. So if I don't hold shift, it'll do something like that. But if I hold shift and extrude, I can go create like a nice right angle for my door frame. And I'm going to go ahead and give my character 3 meters of width as well. So I'll hold shift and get a 4th one that will just create the next like vertical column to complete the door frame shape. And I'll have to hold shift one more time, and then now I can just drag this down. All right, so there's my door frame. Let's go ahead and give it a color in ProBuilder. So I'm going to go back to object mode so the whole thing is selected, and I'm going to use a vertex colors from the ProBuilder menu, and we can just make this thing like blue to stand out from the floor. And now we need to, I guess I can go ahead and rename this door. And now next I'm going to make the actual, I guess I'll call it door frame, because then I'm going to make another object that will be the actual door that fills in the door frame. So what I'm going to do, while I have this selected, if you press F to focus and then you hit Control Shift K, you'll see that the cube will actually come in a reasonable spot in your workspace in the scene window. And I'll make another cube, and I can close this thing, and we will just, I think I'm going to have to change my scale here. So plus and minus are the hotkeys for this, and you want to leave it at these like increments of like multiples of 2. And I'm going to hit minus a couple times till I'm down to 0.25, and that way I can grab this front face of my door and kind of drag it in a little bit, and I'll go in on the back and drag it in a little bit from that direction. So now we have 0.25 of like a little gap here between the edge of the door frame and the start of the door. And then I will grab this face and pull it all the way over so that's flush with the door frame, and then grab the top face and do the same thing so that it's flush with the door frame from the top here. And let's go back to object mode and give this guy a color that's unique as well. I'll pick this like reddish brown. It's good contrast with the rest of the level here. And one thing, all right, so there's a few ways we could do a door. We could make it swing open. Swinging doors are kind of more complicated because they can bump the player. So for this example, just to make everything super simple, I'm going to make this kind of like a portcullis door that it's going to open like this vertically. Or you could think of it as like a Star Trek door or something like that. And then maybe later we'll do like a physics-based door that swings open if the player, like, you know, you could unlatch it and then bump it forward, kind of like Resident Evil 2 remake, or I think maybe some of the Amnesia games might work that way. But for now, we'll do the easy one. And one thing you'll notice, when this thing goes up like this, we need some geometry up here in our door frame to mask the door so you don't see the thing sticking out through the ceiling like that. So I'm going to go back to this object, get my face tool, and I'm going to have to hold shift to select all three of these faces, because since I extruded, there's multiple faces there, and I can just drag this up. And probably it doesn't matter, but since this is occupying the exact same space, you'll see this Z fighting. So maybe I'll leave it on 0.25 and go up one little hair more so that doesn't happen. And maybe even, let's see, where's my door? It's still called cube. Let's go ahead and rename this thing door. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I was going to see if we had Z fighting here. I'm not seeing it, but really what I could do is in my animation, when the door goes up, I can lift it up a little extra so that you wouldn't notice any Z fighting right here, since I added this extra 0.25 up on the top. Probably no one's ever going to look up here, especially in a test level, but something to keep in mind when you design your doors is to have somewhere for the door to fit when it goes up, if it works this way. So I've got my door. Let's go back to object mode in ProBuilder and drag the whole door back down to its closed state. And I think we're ready to start working on our actual animations and states. So now that I have the door built, I think I can just, let's save this video, and you could make a commit. I guess I should have made a commit in the last video. Like you can see, adding bolt added a ton of stuff. So one commit should have been imported bolt. The next commit, I can still save this actually if I just go find my scene, wherever that is right here. I'm just going to uncheck my scene, and so I have one commit that's just importing bolt. And my next commit, this will take a sec because there's 300 files. This one will be created a, we'll say create a door geometry. All right, so I will commit that. I can push both of these, and then we'll get started with the logic and the animations of our door in the next couple videos here.